Welcome to The Laughing Litigator.
Hey everybody, welcome back to an all-new episode of The Laughing Litigator with Attorney Ray Hsu. I'm your host, Mike Leon. Ray has spent more than a decade fighting employment cases across the state of California. He's also not afraid to share a satirical spotlight, on the messy intersection of law and politics. Today's episode, we're going to be asking this big question. How did Julie Hsu go from celebrated Asian American civil rights attorney to facing a $32 billion unemployment scandal to acting U.S. Secretary of Labor, still waiting on Senate approval? All of that and more. This kind of career arc that she went on, you'd expect from some prestige drama. But Ray's going to explain all of this and answer the broader question of who is Julie Hsu, and is she a hero, a villain, or is she just unlucky enough to be standing in the wrong place at the wrong time? Ray, good to see you as always. Before we even dive into this controversy I mentioned there at the end, who is Julie Hsu? Tell us why she's such an important figure in the legal and civil rights community.
Julie Hsu, basically, she is a legendary litigator in Southern California. You know, when I was only a law student, she was already a litigation director at the Asian Pacific American Legal Center, and later become AAAJ, Asian American Advancing Justice Impact Litigation Director. You know, these name changes are just like funny because, Julie Hsu, her mom came to the States on a boat.
Hey, Mark, when you mentioned that the news doesn't favor her, our Julie Hsu, there was a recent news published on this around December 6, 2025. It says 24 LA County, Los Angeles County employees charged with stealing over $700,000 in COVID unemployment benefits. 11 additional Los Angeles County employees have been charged with felony grand theft for fraudulently claiming employment benefits. This brings the total number of county employees charged in the pandemic-era scheme to 24, with over $741,518 allegedly stolen. The employees allegedly continue to collect benefits and submit fraudulent income certifications while still working full-time for the county. And Julie Hsu was the California Secretary of Labor, overseeing California Employment Development Department, which issued the COVID-era pandemic payments for affected individuals and business entities. So I don't want to speculate whether or not she knows about this thing or not. But again, just like I said, the news doesn't favor her, and stuff happened under her watch, even though she doesn't want to claim responsibility. But it's very hard for people don't make the connection between all this fraud and her ruling or her control of the administration or the government agencies at that time.
So Ray, she rose so fast through the community, and she went from attorney, California Labor Commissioner, then the Labor Secretary, obviously. What made her stand out that she was able to get all these different types of roles?
Not one word, passion. Passion in labor code. Just like every Asian in this country, we came to this country with a passion. We want to contribute. We know the lens is from the white, the black, the Hispanic, and Asian are from countries of thousands of years. So we come to a new continent of 200 years, and we look at it. We know we are newcomer, okay. But we respect people who are already there. And if we, as a newcomer, we already know as a newcomer, we need to contribute in order to be able to stay.
So Ray, her supporters say she's a trailblazer in this space. Her critics call her incompetent because of what I just mentioned in terms of what the audit found. Where do you land on that spectrum?
No, you know what? She is the off the chart trailblazer for FLSA or California Labor Code enforcer. But she is an incompetent politician.
So, Ray, she made headlines too with this no ICE or DLSE on property stance. What was the significance of that? Explain that for folks out there, especially what it means for immigrant workers.
Okay, so this is number one thing I tell immigrant workers to tell if you know that whether or not the person you speak to is a real California labor employment law lawyer or is actually some kind of imposter. Basically, the number one question you ask is, do you know what DLSE stands for? There is no Department of Labor in California. It's only Department of Industrial Relations, DIR. DLSE stands for Division of Labor Standards Enforcement. DLSE is the wage hearing unit that will take your application for wage claim and then eventually investigate and conduct a hearing and render a judgment without going to courts. Administrative procedure in California, because it is the number one place that you have to go if you ever feel like you are owed any wages. You go to DLSE, and if any person were to tell you you are going to the California Department of Labor, that person is not a lawyer.
See? That's why we have a lawyer on. All right. So, Ray, then I mentioned in the intro, her Senate nomination has been stuck for ages here. What does that stalemate of her not getting approved yet by Congress say about today's political climate?
And Mark, I really want to share one insider information. When Julie Hsu was the acting secretary of U.S. Department of Labor, I have a lot of cases. I defend a lot of employers during a U.S. Department of Labor audit, and even a few cases that went on to federal court litigation. And U.S. Department of Labor, the attorneys, they are wonderful people. They really do their job. They sometimes even very aggressive, but I really respect them. I want to, without saying anybody's name, one trial counsel in Los Angeles, one in Seattle, and one even in Washington, D.C., I really respect their works, even though I was the opposing counsel. But coming down to when Ms. Julie Hsu became the acting secretary of U.S. Department of Labor, I also overheard information that she just pushed maximum penalties to all of the employers, which changed the tradition of U.S. Department of Labor that for first offense employers, sometimes the government won't impose the mandatory liquidated damages, which is like a double penalty when certain wages or minimum wages were unpaid, which becomes a negotiable item for we attorneys to educate the employer. And U.S. Department of Labor should not just punish the employer, it also has a very significant function to educate the first-time offender employer. But I think Julie Hsu changed that policy and tried to impose maximum penalties in each and every case, and even had a memo. I overheard it. I didn't really see the memo, but I overheard there was a memo to push the case to California Labor Commissioner for another round of penalties and investigation or audit. That was so unfair to a point. I actually started to advise my client, if Julie Hsu ever became the Secretary of Labor for the U.S. Department of Labor after Kamala Harris was elected, maybe you employers should really move out of California or outsource all of your jobs to maybe Philippines or Southeast Asia. So at one point, it pains me to see that she was never confirmed by the Senate to become the Secretary of Labor of the United States. But at the same time, because Trump was elected, at some point, there was finally some brief room for the employer, at least with the new Secretary of Labor right now, the old policy came back. Liquidated damages once again became a negotiable item. So we had more room to help the first offender employer to learn the right way, not to impose maximum penalties in each and every case. So that's what I really want to share about this insider information. Thank you.
So then let me ask you here, Ray, if you were writing a tagline for her career, so far, what would you write as the tagline? Is she a hero? Is she a villain? Is she a cautionary tale about what it's like being in charge when the music stops? What is she? What's the tagline for Julie?
I will make the connection with my view on the when I watched the new Star Trek Picard. When I saw the Japanese American actress Miss Lomita, I believe that the Lomita is the real name of the actress. I hope I pronounced correctly. Well, and when I watch a few episodes, I feel like, oh, wow. I suddenly made the connection. Is that Julie Hsu running U.S. Department of Labor? Okay. Well, of course. It's very okay that you have a conviction to try to do your things. In the Star Trek Picard episode, she wants to destroy the synthetic thing, the robot thing. That and the Starfleet does not really give a shit. But in our context, back to U.S. Department of Labor, if you do this thing, if you do all of the things you do in U.S. Department of Labor, and you are not caring for the side of employer, let me ask you one thing. If people connect the dots, let's say in this continent, in this country, in the USA, the white management, the black management, the Hispanic management, or whatever management suddenly connect the dots from what you do at U.S. Department of Labor to CA Employment Development Department, and then to all the great things you do, and then the question will be, would you hire another Asian American attorney for the top job next time? I will end with a question.
Yeah. Very well said there at the end. Ray, thank you for the time and insights today. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's Julie Hsu's story through the lens of the Laughing Litigator. My buddy Ray Hsu here. Thank you for listening to this episode. Whether she's a hero, scapegoat, or she's just unlucky, you let us know in the comments. And you can reach Ray over at rayhsulaw.com. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, comment, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. As always, I'm Mike Leon. We'll see everybody next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.